Now, our national nightmare is over in that Ezekiel Elliott will play for the Dallas Cowboys this weekend, as long as he ends up, passing, the conditioning test and practicing well and whatever. A 6-year deal, which is being reported a $90 million extension, $103 million over 8 years, $50 million guaranteed. It'll make him the top paid running back at $14.375 million. And so the Dallas Cowboys have themselves their star and really their best offensive player. Right? But they're doing that thing that Dallas does. Right? Can't help themselves. They can't stand firm. They can't not buy the first thing on the rack. Patience wins the game. And I would say that a lot of us are guilty of it. Heck, my wife and I, we bought a house last year knowing that eventually the housing market would cool, would flatten, and we could get probably a better, but we saw one we liked and we thought we got a good deal on it as it sat for a little bit, and we did, but we could have done better. Now, they have cost certainty. They have their guy. He hasn't been hurt. He does have his off-the-field stuff, which I'm sure they feel like if he steps out of bounds, they can get some of this back. And I get all of the logic. If you want to say he's the best back in the league, so he should be paid like the best back in the league, fine. But you gave away leverage, and you bought the type of car, which is all cars are a depreciating asset, but this one depreciates at a remarkable rate. Of course, Jerry Jones selling it, and I didn't feel like he was lying. I do think this was his honest thoughts. Here's Jerry Jones. He was on CNBC earlier today. Here's Jera regarding Zeke's new contract.
Zeke has been arguably our best player. I'm not trying to be unfair to anybody else, but he's an incremental part to our success. We're glad to get him booked in. We're glad to have him on the team.
Sucker! Right? Jerry Jones relenting and signing and giving and signing off on the biggest deal on basically on the eve of the NFL kicking off. When running backs are making less, when the Chargers are digging their heels in on Melvin Gordon, even if he has the best back in the league, he literally can't go anywhere else. Can't go anywhere else. And yet they go, yeah, we'll do that. What the Cowboys have done is the same thing that NFL players did when they signed the collective bargaining agreement. I'll take you back to when there was a lockout. Okay? When there was a lockout, the NFL players were days away from making the NFL owners cancel their first preseason game. And remember, NFL players don't make anything off preseason football. Owners do. But because the NFL players worried that eventually they would cancel a regular season game, which would cancel their checks and guys needed to get paid, they signed a deal which was pro-owner. Right? Goodell still had power. They were still the franchise tag, though they had a better split in terms of football revenue. There's non-football related revenue that still was all going to the owners. There was just a lot of, they didn't have lifetime health care insurance. And the only way to make the owners feel it is to not show up for a regular season game or even a preseason game. And they didn't. The players had leverage, but gave it away. Jerry Jones had leverage. Yes, they can beat the Giants, the Redskins, the Dolphins without Ezekiel Elliott. And Zeke was under contract, had nowhere to go. And as much as you think, hey, it's goodwill, guys will love us for it. No, they won't. They'll want to get paid too. Because everybody thinks they're part of the solution, not part of the problem. Congratulations. You just cost yourself a couple more with Dak Prescott. Just cost yourself a couple more million with Amari Cooper. And if you ever wondered why there was a disconnect between Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones, between Bill Parcells and Jerry Jones, And the reason those guys have won championships there and championships elsewhere, and he has not, here's your answer. Here's your answer. Because as much as he likes to talk about Zeke who and about, well, there's just so much pie to go around. The fact is that he's the guy who when gas prices hit $4.50, he's like, yeah, but I got a great deal on a new Hummer. And nobody buys Hummers anymore, Jerry. Really? A Humvee? Why would you buy a Humvee? Gas is like $4.50 a gallon some places. Like we're on to electric cars, green stuff. Nope. You know, it doesn't mean that the Hummer's not a cool car. I like to have one. Just not one of my primary mode of transportation. It doesn't mean that $15 million, in truth, considering what Ezekiel Elliott brings you as opposed to any other running back in the league, isn't, truthfully, a fair price. He can play on all three downs, and most running backs cannot. But you have to factor in the off-the-field stuff, and you factor in the position, and you had him under contract. And instead of drawing a hardline stance, you waved the white flag and said, Jerry's got to win a Super Bowl. And it's better now than never. There's a reason since Jimmy Johnson left that building, they haven't won a Super Bowl. There's a reason that Bill Parcells ultimately gave up in his effort to rebuild the Dallas Cowboys. Two guys that won championships there. One guy's won championships there. Two guys that won championships elsewhere. And they both said, can't do it. Why? Because this is Jerry. And I'm not making Jerry Jones out to be a bad guy. He's not. But he wants to be beloved by former players. And you know what? Sometimes the best way to be beloved by former players is to say no and to build a championship team. And instead of winning for a year or 2 years, you can win for 5 years. They got to this point by being patient, making smart draft decisions, and not overpaying for some skill position guys. And so what do they do when they get to this point? The exact opposite. Right? Like, what more do we need to see about the New England Patriots and how they handle their business? That should be the model. And the Cowboys like, or we can just have highest paid guys at positions. Huh? We can do it. We can do it. So I think they got a great player. And I think, I actually like this deal more than the Michael Thomas deal. Like Michael Thomas is a big-time wide receiver, but he's not a blur. And outside of catching the football, what does he do? Whereas Zeke can run it, can catch it, can block, can do all three phases. But you look around the league and everyone else is driving a hard bargain for running backs. And the Cowboys are like, yeah, but what? Yeah, but what? What is the rule in real estate? Well, there's location, but never have the most expensive house on the block, right? If you didn't know that, that's a rule. That's a rule. Never have the most expensive house on the block. Cowboys do. So, look, it's great for my fantasy team. I'm sure the numbers being pumped up, and when you see $90 million extension and $50 million guaranteed, those are all the positives. There's probably something which the Cowboys feel like they won. They're not going to put it out there. They're just going to celebrate it. But Jerry Jones had all the leverage. All of it. He talked about pie. He talked about the fact that we don't need the leading rusher in the NFL to win now. We've had that 3 of the last 5 years. Haven't won anything. He made good, salient points. And he clearly tweaked them when he said, Zeke who? And they play as easy a first 3 games as you'll ever find in the NFL. The Giants are not good. The Redskins are not good and don't have their left tackle and don't have a quarterback. And the Dolphins are trying to lose. You can't start in better position than that when you're the Cowboys. If you're really a Super Bowl team, you can win without your running back for those first 3 games. But instead he said, don't care about leverage. Just want to be the guy who is liked, who makes these points about having the best running back in the NFL. They bought, congratulations, you bought the most expensive house in the block, which is nice to live in. But your return on your investment is not the same as if you bought the fixer-upper down the street.
Hi, I'm Doug Gottlieb from Fox Sports Radio, and you need to subscribe to the Fox Sports Radio YouTube channel where you can hear and see me. Why not? Plus, everybody else who's awesome here on Fox Sports Radio.